Hello everyone. Today we will be continuing our practice with proofs, and we're going to be learning a couple of new theorems. So in this first video we're going to be learning two new theorems, and that is the congruent supplements theorem and the congruent complements theorem. So the congruent supplements theorem, that says if two angles are supplementary to the same angle, or two congruent angles, then they are congruent. So if we're looking at this image here, if angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary, and angle 3 and angle 2 are supplementary, so angle 1 is supplementary to angle 2, angle 3 is also supplementary to angle 2, then that means that angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. So let's go ahead and actually prove that. So given that same picture, angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary, angle 3 and angle 2 is supplementary, I'm going to prove that angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. So I'm going to first start with my given information. So I'm given that angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary. Angle 3 and angle 2 are supplementary. And so again, my reason there is given. Now I want to somehow get to that angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. And so now I need to fill in all these steps. So I want to use my given information first. I'm given that they're supplementary, so I need to remember, okay, well, what does that mean? What does it mean for them to be supplementary? Well, we know from the definition of supplementary angles, that means that measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2 is equal to 180, and measure of angle 3 plus measure of angle 2 is equal to 180. And again, that was the definition of supplementary. And so now I need to see, okay, I'm given these two equations. Somehow I want to combine them, and I want to get rid of those angle 2's. So how can I combine them? Well, I see that they're both equal to 180. And so that means that those two are equal to one another. So since they're both equal to the same thing, that means that measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2 is equal to measure of angle 3 plus measure of angle 2. And that's going to be my transitive property. And now I want to get rid of my angle 2, so I see that my measure of angle 2 is on both sides, so I can subtract it from both sides. So that'll be my subtraction POE. And so that leaves me with measure of angle 1 is equal to measure of angle 3. And all I did there is I simplified. And I see that automatically leads to my final step. Since the measure of angle 1 is equal to measure of angle 3, that means that they are also congruent to each other. And that is my definition of congruence. And so that proved my congruent supplements theorem. Congruent complements theorem is pretty much the same idea, except now we're doing with complements. And so that says if two angles are complementary to the same angle, or congruent angles, then they are congruent. And so if I'm looking at this picture here, if angle 4 and angle 5 are complementary, and angle 6 and angle 5 are complementary, then angle 4 is congruent to angle 6. And again, that's because they're both complementary to the same angle